Hello. So I hope this is working, guys. This is the first time that I have done like the scheduled thing. That's why I'm super late. Um, but I wanted to try this new thing called Coffee with Crystal, Morning Coffee with Crystal. Mainly because it's Advent season. Oh, I forgot my book, so I'll have to come right back. Um, it's Advent season, and I just love this time of year. And I've never really gone through an Advent devotional with anybody. So I thought, why not my online friends here? And so you can kind of see I'm wearing a Christmas shirt. This is an old Texas Tech Christmas shirt. It's a teddy bear skiing. This is my mom's old sweater. So shout out to Mama if you're watching. Okay, so I'm going to see if this is working because it's supposed to be streaming on Facebook and my YouTube channel. But like I said, it's the first time I've ever done this schedule thing. So it had like the countdown and all of this stuff, I think. And so I'm not really sure what worked or didn't work, to be quite honest, because I couldn't get the thing. I had to it wouldn't go live. So then I had to delete it and start all over. My plan was to start at 7 a.m. Obviously, that didn't happen. But let's see what's going on. Okay, so it looks like I'm live. That's good. I have somebody watching. Say hello because I can't see who you are. Okay, so it showed the one that I had to actually delete, showing a couple of those. So yeah, so I was having technical issues. Hopefully I'll figure this out where I'm not having to delete anything. Anyway, so I hope y'all are doing great. I hope y'all had an amazing, amazing Thanksgiving. I know I did. I know it was much different for many of us who couldn't be with family. It was really sad. And is volume working? Let me see. For many of us. Okay, it is. I was also having problems with my mic, which is a normal thing. My husband and I, for some reason, haven't figured out how to plug in the mic and get that going. So, oh, hi, Maria. Yay. Maria said hello. Anyway, so it was just a big mess this morning. My first morning coffee with Crystal did not go so well. But that's okay. We're going to wing it. That's what going live is about. It's about winging it. So I know this Thanksgiving was so much different for many of us. And, it was really sad. Like my mother and stepfather were quarantining because they didn't have COVID, but they were possibly exposed to it. And so they were, taking the obvious precautions of staying quarantined until everybody's results got in. And I actually still don't know what the results were from the person they were around. But I know that my parents didn't have it. Thank God. So it's been such a difficult year. It really has, you guys. I think for so many of us, so many people are losing loved ones to not just COVID. I was actually talking to my friend. I call her cousin friend, but we were talking about how life is still happening outside of the pandemic. But the pandemic in itself is tragic. And just not to mention with everything else that's gone on in the world this year. I mean, we can't ignore all the stuff that's gone on. But what we can do is lean in to our Lord Savior and hold on to that hope. And so I hope that's what you're doing. I hope that's what you did this Thanksgiving. It was much different. I got to thankfully see my father in love and my grandpa in love. So that was nice to be able to at least see a couple of familiar, friendly faces because it was so much different. Let's see. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, friend. How are ya? So yeah, so I hope y'all had a great Thanksgiving. Feel free to drop me comments and let me know, what you did, what you ate, what you didn't eat. Some people don't like certain Thanksgiving things. I saw somebody online say they didn't like turkey and dressing. And that blew my mind. I think that's the first time I've ever heard somebody didn't like turkey and dressing on Thanksgiving. So kind of crazy. But anyway, so yeah, so I hope y'all had a great Thanksgiving. It's such a good time to just remember to be thankful no matter what's going on in life. Do y'all like this Christmas mug? It's so vintage. Let me come over here to the screen to make sure I'm showing y'all. Isn't that the coolest mug? My father-in-law gave this to me a few years ago. It's the coolest vintage coffee mug. I love it so much. I pulled out all of my not coffee stuff, my Christmas stuff yesterday, or the hubby did. And so I pack all of like my mugs and all of my dishes and stuff. And so it's always fun. I feel like it's Christmas morning when I like, oh, there's that mug. I've missed that mug. So that was a lot of fun to like pull out stuff. We have some more people joining. Good morning, Catherine. Caitlin says hers was so different. It was just you guys. We had ham, cranberry sauce, and pies and potatoes. That sounds delicious. So it was really funny. Speaking of food, I love cooking for Thanksgiving. The first Thanksgiving I ever cooked for myself, or not for myself, but by myself, was when we were in Portland. We didn't have any family. And so I like almost got like depressed and sad. And then I was like, no, I'm not going to get sad. It's okay. I got this. I can do it. And so I bought like the little hens, not hams, the little hens. So I didn't do a turkey or ham or anything like that. But I did like the Danish hens, and I made so many sides. I didn't do desserts because I hadn't yet baked yet. The eyebrow is like really funny looking. I hadn't baked yet, or like really started to bake or anything. But I made tons of sides, and we had a glorious Thanksgiving. And so ever since then, it's really been my most favorite time to cook. So last year, we just bought a ham from Honey Glazed Ham here in Lubbock. Shout out to Honey Glazed Ham. It's so good, y'all. But we decided to not do that this year. Like we were going to, and then I don't know, just the prices were a little bit higher this year than last year. And so I don't know, we just kind of thought, you know what, let's just cook. And I was like, it's super therapeutic for me. I love cooking for Thanksgiving. And so I was like, let's try a ham. And we ended up doing ham and turkey. So I was a little nervous, but everything came out great. The ham, the turkey, and dressing. I had so many sides and so many desserts just for 4 people, but it was fun. We still have leftovers like crazy. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun to just cook, and I did it by myself. I was so exhausted. My feet were exhausted by the end of Thursday. I was tired, and I was like, shout out to my mom and grandma who used to do this every year, and my aunts. Like they'd all come together in the kitchen, but they did it from scratch. I'll be honest. I didn't do a lot of my stuff from scratch. I would love to sit here and say I did, but I didn't. A lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it was, like pre-made, or not pre-made, but instant potatoes or something. So let's see, we have some more comments here. I'm so glad you guys are joining me. I wasn't sure what to expect, but this is what I wanted. I wanted like community and gathering, especially since things are so different right now. And I know more and more people are quarantining, or maybe not even necessarily quarantining, but just staying safe. I know Darren and I are doing that, and not that we stay in our hermits or anything like that, but we certainly tend to stay in a little bit more, just to be safe and to keep others safe. Um, but we certainly don't think we should all just quit life. You know what I mean? But, there's wisdom and discernment involved. So, anyway, with that being said, it's nice to just gather online because let's utilize this tool we have for good. Okay, so let's see. Oh, thank you, Caitlin. I love it too. It's so vintagey. Let's see. Catherine had ham, mashed potatoes, and corn. Belated pumpkin pie since our butternut squash from our garden started molding. Oh my gosh, you guys are doing butternut squash. That's so awesome. We cheated a couple days later and picked up canned. Yeah, so that's how I did my pumpkin pie. But I was so excited, Catherine, because it's the first time that I did a pumpkin pie. And so I was super excited, even though, like you said, it was cheating, I guess you could say. I was just so excited because it's my favorite dessert. And I was even like telling Darren, I was like almost offended because I was like, oh, it's this easy to make pumpkin pie and I haven't done it. So I was a little upset with myself because every year I want pumpkin pie, and like when we were in Portland, I didn't have it because my mom's always been the one to make it. But yeah, so I was a little offended with myself because it wasn't hard to make it. It was really easy and delicious. Okay. Thank you, Catherine. I'm constantly messing with my eyebrows. Leftovers are great. Um, Yes, Caitlin, it's such good memories of family, and, like, I was telling my husband, I was like, "Next year, I wanna get my sister-in-law and my cousins, and I want it to be a family event and just bake together." Because it got a little lonely at times doing it by myself, but I just put my Christmas music on or my praise and worship music, and just enjoyed the time, baking by myself and cooking by myself. So, but I could see how much fun it is. I know that my mom and my aunts love it. Like they love gathering together. They do tamales, which I want to learn how to make soon, but they do normally do those for Christmas. So I don't know what our Christmas is going to look like this year. Um, hopefully it'll be hopefully it'll be good, but I have a feeling we might have to be separated again, but we'll see. Um, yeah, limiting your time out. That's a good way to say it, Catherine, is limiting the time out. Pumpkin and sweet potato. Yes, I did a sweet potato casserole, Caitlin, but I cheated on that. So you'll have to let me know if you did, like I did the canned stuff and then put marshmallows on it, and I did a little bit of cinnamon. Um, yes, and Catherine. So I'm just reading yours about if anyone cheats and never baked, you're doing great. Yeah. So I've never been a baker. I love to cook, but I've never really been a baker. And so I started baking this year slowly because I don't know why I'm terrified of baking. I think maybe because my mom and grandma like were such great bakers. Everything they cook is great. And so I don't know. I just have that standard I put for myself up like, oh, if I'm going to bake, I have to be as good as them. But I've started off slowly, and eventually I will. My hope is to do a pie crust from scratch. Now I've done a pot pie from scratch where I did the crust and everything from scratch, and so I can't imagine a pumpkin pie wouldn't be that much harder, or a pie crust. Maybe not. Pumpkin pie from scratch sounds really hard, and I think that's why I never even attempted to make it. But yeah, Caitlin, go for it. I'd love to have that recipe. My grandpa-in-law loves sweet potato pie, sweet potato casserole, all the sweet potato stuff. So yes, oh, grandmas are the best bakers. Okay, so Stephanie says sweet potato casserole is my fave. You have to have marshmallows and pecans on top. Ooh, I didn't do pecans on top. I should have though. I did do marshmallows. Um, and it was really good. I'm getting hungry. Now we should do this coffee and snacks with Crystal because now I'm getting hungry. Caitlin says cooking, but her mom-in-law loves cooking but does not bake. She gets from the store. I told her she could do cooking and all this. Ooh, yes, that's a good compromise. And that's a really good balance, because a lot of times if you get in the kitchen with another woman, there's one of them likes both, or you know what I mean? There's just like this battle almost of like who's gonna do what. I've had that like within the baking scenario, but thank God I wasn't too offended, because I'm like, hey, like I'm not a baker. I want to bake, but go for it. Oh yes, Caitlin. Caitlin's hooking up with the recipes, you guys. Linda says, I'm the world's biggest cheater. I don't like to cook that much. Hallelujah for instant pots, crock pots, and microwaves. No recipes that are more than 15 minutes or too many ingredients. Okay, Linda. So I got my early Christmas present from the hubby, and it's an instant pot. It's actually not in. Oh, it is in here. It's over there. I got an instant pot, and I'll be honest, I'm a little scared to use it, but where do you get your recipes? Do you have a recipe book? I need to look on Amazon to see if I can find a recipe book or something, but I'm excited because, I get so busy throughout my day with whatever, whether it's, cleaning or working or writing or something, that I end up like 6 o'clock comes around. I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't done dinner. And so I feel like this is going to be the answer to my housewife problems, but I'm a little intimidated by this thing. Let's see. Catherine says, I need to find a good gluten-free pie crust recipe. So far, it's not as good as regular. One of my friends from Kathy, if you're watching, we're going to have to get your recipe. She's normally pretty active, or not pretty active, but she likes stuff on this Facebook page. So maybe she's watching, but she does amazing gluten-free desserts. I'm not even kidding, Catherine. And when she told us she could do a gluten-free, she did I think a pumpkin pie cheesecake, and then those like cinnamon roll things, like they're like that has like looks like a little pinwheel in the middle. I forget what they're called. She did all kinds of gluten-free sweets, and we ate them. We were like, there's no way this is gluten-free, but she swears it's gluten-free. And so if I can get that gluten-free pie crust recipe from her, I will get that to you, because like her sweets were amazing. Last year she mailed us some because we missed them so much, and I kept texting her and like, oh my gosh, I'm missing your recipe or your desserts. And so she ended up sending us a couple of things. It was just so good. I'll have to get it for you. Coffee and snacks. I'm eating oatmeal and drinking coffee when not typing. Yeah, I should do that. I should change it to coffee and snacks. Although I will say I tend to not eat too much in the mornings. Y'all, lately I've been eating bad. Anybody else? Come on. I cannot be the only one eating terrible right now. Okay, Linda gets hers from Pinterest. Catherine loves quick and easy too. I have a crock pot recipe book also, Caitlin. We'll have to swap recipes. But anyway, this has been fun, you guys. Okay. So let's stop talking about food, because I am seriously getting hungry, and I normally, like I said, don't get hungry or eat in the mornings, but I might have to if we're going to talk about food in here. So did you guys catch the If We Do This Together show that my husband and I do? I promise I'm not trying to like shamelessly plug the show or anything, but the whole point to me bringing that up is so last year he was a guest. I was originally doing that show that that I don't know what you want to call it, that broadcast, the place with the Streaming Inspiration Broadcast Network. The show we originally had was the Her Soul Purpose Show. And so I was talking about pregnancy, loss, grief, and, just really trying to encourage women going through that. I had my husband on as a guest, and he did an amazing segment on symbolism. I think he did just the Christmas tree for that show, if I'm remembering that correctly, but it was so great. And we actually had people ask us if they could get a copy of that broadcast. Like there was a lot of ladies who loved that show, and commented on it. And so anyway, so kind of with that being said, when we moved back to Texas, we had done a marriage show for Walk by Faith Radio, and it was really, really good. And so we decided when he came on as a guest for my show, I did a couple more rehearsal purpose shows, and I always run stuff by him when I'm talking about biblical, spiritual stuff. I run it by him before I do it because he's my spiritual covering, and I want to honor that and respect that role that he has in my life. And so I always run things by him that I'm, planning on doing or talking about. And so I found myself like telling him like, so this is what I'm going to talk about. What do you think about this? And then finally I was like, you know what? Why don't you just do the show with me? Like, this is silly, I run by everything by you anyway. And so we, thought, let's just change the show up. So we talked to the producer of the show and told him our idea and everything. And so he said, sure, let's give it a try. And so ever since then, it's been a year now since we've been doing the If We Do This Together show. And anyway, so that backstory was to kind of, actually, I didn't really have to tell you all that story, but I just did. But mainly just, I guess the backstory was to let y'all know that show he did on the Christmas tree and the symbolism of the Christmas tree is what really kind of propelled or started the If We Do This Together show. And so I'm so excited, y'all, because I love Christmas. I've loved Christmas since I was little. And I don't think I know that I love it because it reminds me of my dad. My dad, growing up, was in and out of my life. But even as a little girl, like, I always knew I could count on him for Christmas. Like, he always came through for Christmas. And it wasn't just the gifts, it was the seeing him. I knew I was going to see him. I knew I was going to, get to play with him and show him everything I'm doing for school and, just all the fun things. And so I think, I know, like, I keep saying I think because it's like, I've just always loved Christmas. But when he passed away this year, I remember kind of getting sad about Christmas. Like, then he passed away in the summer, and I instantly thought of Christmas and how it was going to be hard for me. And then that's kind of when I realized, like, I think that's why I love Christmas so much, because it's always reminded me of my dad. Like, it's always been just growing up as a little girl, that's always been our holiday. Like, that's always been the holiday he was going to make sure to be there for me. And so anyway, so I don't know. So in saying that I love Christmas, when my husband really started to study and dig into the symbolism of Christmas and, why do we put up a Christmas tree? And so a backstory to that, my husband grew up Jehovah's Witness. Well, if you know anything about Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't celebrate holidays. They don't celebrate those things. And so, he marries a woman who absolutely adores Christmas. And he, it's kind of like, whoa, what am I going to do here? He's no longer, I guess, practices the Jehovah's Witness or whatever you want to say about that. But he's no longer in the Jehovah's Witness church. But there was still this mindset of, we don't celebrate Christmas. He's just never been used to it. And so he starts wanting to understand Christmas. Like, he understands like why we celebrate it, like that's, the birth of Christ, and that's what we're celebrating. Like, he understands that. And he was fine with that, obviously, because, he loves Jesus. But he was like, okay, so why does this girl want a Christmas tree in our house? Why does she want us to go get a real life Christmas tree and bring it into this home? And why does she put ornaments on it? And, and I mean, obviously that's not the only reason why he started to look into the symbolism of Christmas. If you know my husband, he's just kind of like a history buff. He and I are both nerds, book nerds. And so it's just stuff like that interests him. But it did help him to uh, to be at peace, I guess, with doing these things that he grew up thinking they were bad. And so anyway, but with all that being said, I love Christmas. I've always loved Christmas. But when I started to listen to him talk about the symbolism of stuff, the symbolism of the Christmas tree, I almost felt ashamed of myself. And not that we should feel ashamed or any of y'all should feel ashamed, but I almost felt ashamed of myself because I'm like, here I've been celebrating this holiday and putting a Christmas tree up in my house, looking at candy canes or having candy canes or, excited about Santa Claus. And I never really knew the beautiful symbolism of these things that we do for Christmas. And so when he did that show last year, like I had already heard a lot of the stuff that he talked about. But like hearing some of the comments and the messages from some of the women who watched it and were like, oh my gosh, that was such a great show. I didn't think that or realize that about the Christmas tree. And, so it's going to be a great series for you guys to check it out, just to kind of hear some of the symbolism. And he's really nervous because I keep building the next few shows up, but it's because I really love how he knows this stuff, and how he articulates it, and how he's made me not just love Christmas and love the birth of Jesus, but really appreciate the different things and traditions that we do for holidays and for Christmas and the things that we invite our children into. It's just, I don't know, it's really beautiful to kind of get some perspective on it. I think it'll help. Some of y'all might know some of the symbolisms or reasons why we do things, but I didn't. I just loved Christmas because I loved Christmas. But I think it'll help give us all a deeper appreciation of this beautiful season. I know it did me, and I hope it does y'all. And so hopefully the show won't disappoint, because he's like, you keep building it up. And I'm like, because I love it so much. I love when you talk about this stuff. So keep in mind, it could be that that's my wifey heart, where I'm like, oh, my husband's talking about this stuff. So keep in mind, it could be very well be that I'm just, Twitter pated by my man. And so everything he talks about, I think, is just gold. But hopefully you guys will get something out of it and learn something, maybe that you didn't know about Christmas. So this show that we did yesterday basically was an introduction. He didn't get into too much of any of the symbolism, but he is planning on breaking down certain traditions that we do for the holidays over the next few weeks. So it'll be exciting. So you'll have to join us. Okay, let's see comments here. Y'all, my stomach's growling now. And I promise you that's from us talking about food, which might not be, because I don't know if that's how actually the mind and stomach work, but my stomach normally doesn't growl at 8 o'clock in the morning, because I try to intermittent fast. And so I normally don't even really eat until 10 or 11, sometimes noon. I was going to say midnight, sometimes noon. Okay, so Catherine says, I'm going back on my healthy diet. I'm on the struggle bus with that one. Stephanie says, trying to get back onto my intermittent fasting schedule. Okay, everybody's diet slipping. That makes me feel better. Caitlin's diet is slipping. I should shamelessly promote it. Well, I guess I just did, huh? Alex Smith says, Catherine, morning, happy new month. Can you send me a DM just to talk, hun? I don't know who that is. Do you know who that is, Catherine? Alex, I hope Catherine knows you, because if she doesn't, I don't know you. And Catherine's a married woman, so I don't have a problem blocking people. I hope that doesn't sound rude, but ain't nobody coming on here and hitting on my married friends. Catherine says, I took the time to learn the symbolism a couple of years ago because of people I know were talking down on Christmas, and we shouldn't celebrate for various reasons, but they turned out to all be false. And now I love Christmas more than I did before. I am more conscious about focusing more on Jesus, though. Yes, absolutely, Catherine. All of that. I love that comment. I love that. And that's kind of how I was too. It was like, um, it's just I really started to really adore Christmas that much more. And when my husband did start looking at the symbolisms of all of it, like even like the nativity scene and all that stuff, obviously we know um, the main reason we put that is to, of course, honor the birth of Christ. But just even looking into traditions, like that is such a tradition to put up a nativity scene. And I've always wanted a nativity scene. And just with him kind of continuing to study symbolism and traditions and how those can actually be a beautiful thing. I don't know a lot about Jehovah's Witnesses. And so I hope I don't misquote anything or misinterpret anything. But kind of what I've always thought is maybe um, he just felt like a lot of this stuff was um, not necessarily evil, but what's the point? What's the beauty in it? And something he's really learned over the past few years is that beauty is important, like having, and not necessarily like a beautiful person, but not that I'm beautiful, but you know what? I'm pointing at a face because it's my only face I have, but I'm not trying to be like beautiful person. I'm not trying to say that, but you know, like not a beautiful person, but just beauty in general. Like there's so much beauty in tradition and family and um, things that families do as a tradition and how that within itself is of God, you know. And so when he started to study symbolism and how important beauty is, he realized like it's not really about a Christmas tree or a candy cane or a nativity scene. It's about the tradition that we do as families and as friends and how that within itself celebrates the birth of Christ. And I'm sure he'll articulate this all in a way better, probably even more um, what's the word? Um, intelligent way. um, but you know, so I think for him, it helped him, Catherine, like you, because he had kind of downplayed or talked down on the Christmas tree and you know the things that I love to decorate, you know, with and stuff. And so um, he's it definitely helped him realize that there's more to it than just ho 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 Santa Claus, or there's more to it than just having these things. You know, there's symbolism to it, but then on top of that, there's also the beauty of tradition and family with it. So it's I know what you mean. Just kind of going off your comment, I know what you mean. It kind of does make you appreciate it a little bit more. Um, and I think I might have to get up in a second. Well, I actually am going to have to get up in a second to get my Advent book because I left it in the living room. But yes, focusing more on Jesus also is something to make sure we keep in mind, you know, is to make sure that at the end of it all, we can have these amazing, beautiful traditions that, yes, within itself is, you know, glorifying to God because we're loving our families and we're keeping beauty, you know, in the Christmas season and all of that good stuff. But at the end of it all, it is about Jesus. It's about the birth of Christ. It's about what's to come. It's about, you know, just all of the beautiful things that he's given us. And so I just love that comment altogether. I don't know who it is, but I was going to inquire with you. Okay, well, um, Alex, I'm so sorry. I don't know who you are, but I just can't have that. I just can't have that. Um, uh, okay, don't feel bad, Crystal. Don't feel bad. Um, but we just can't have that. This is not a dating site, especially with my married friends. What the heck? We're married. Okay, let's see. Where was I? Yes, yes, Caitlin. See, Caitlin, another great comment. Um, I mean, even with Santa Claus, and I'll be honest, even I was one of those people that I was on the fence. Like I didn't know, like if Darren and I ever had kids, I didn't know if we would introduce them to Santa Claus or not. Um, and I still don't know like how we will navigate that. I still don't know how what we will do because we also can see like um I guess I don't know. I don't want to say the danger in how we approach Santa Claus's parents to kids. Um, it's just some kids are mortified when they find out Santa isn't real. Oh gosh, I hope no kids are listening right now. I'm so sorry if they are. Oh my gosh. I'm just gonna have my coffee now. Y'all, if your kids were there listening, I'm so sorry. I feel terrible right now. Please let me know in the comments if I just ruined your kids' lives. Okay. Phew. Caitlin says, "Oh, we don't do Santa. They know the story and why it's there, but we never tried to tell them he was real." Okay. Yes, I'm always leery of random guys too, girl. Always. My husband tells me to not watch like my Datelines anymore and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, I have to be aware of what's going on. And online stalking is real. Okay, so I'm going to go and get my Advent book and let mistletoe outside. Obviously, I love Christmas. We named our dog Holly and Mistletoe. But I'm going to let mistletoe outside because I hear him crying, and I'm going to grab my Advent book. And so I will be right back, ladies. Bless his heart. He just wants me out there with him. I thought he wanted to go outside, but he's just looking at me like, come out here and cuddle. Okay, so let's see. Oh, no problem, Catherine girl. You can come back whenever you want. Okay, I'm glad it cut out. Maybe I need to put a disclaimer. Um, for anybody who watches the replay, I need to put a disclaimer at the top. Talked about Santa, so don't let your kids listen. But good morning, sweet baby. Oh, she's getting so big. Okay, where was I here? Okay, so we talked about symbolism. Okay, so next we're going to talk about Advent because that's the study that we're going to do. Let me come back to the thing. Caitlin, it's funny because it's like I like so want to see her come on my screen because I'm used to you holding her. Anyway, but nobody's on here with me because this isn't Zoom. Okay, so we're going to do a little study together, and you guys, I'm going to be real honest here. And I feel bad because I feel like I do lives and I can't commit to doing, a certain day or every day or anything like that. But I'll be honest, the season of life that I'm in requires me to have flexibility and to not be bogged. I don't want to say bogged down, but committed to a schedule. Just because, I mean, just I guess you could say I'm still a little bit in the grieving season. I'm still trying to heal from my dad's passing. And then we've had so many family members over the past few months pass away. And so just the loss, I mean, and Darren and I've had a loss. And so just kind of in that season where I just want to breathe, but I also want to be as present as possible on on this space that I feel like I'm blessed to have. Like I love that I have this Facebook page. I'm so thankful for people who've supported my blog or my writing. Even at one point, this was my Mrs. Lubbock page. At one point, I think it was even my Mrs. International Organ page. And so I'm just so thankful and honored that anybody would like this page, because who am I, you know? And so I want to be present, and I want to give back anything that the Lord has downloaded into my soul to help others out. But I will be honest, I don't know if it's going to be every day. I don't even know if it'll be every week, but I'm going to try my hardest to come on here, because this has fueled my day, you guys. Like, just starting the morning with y'all and having y'all comment back and forth. And I don't know if it will be like that every morning, because everybody's schedules are so different and all over the place. But it was fun. It was so nice. And so with that being said, I want to do an Advent study. And so most people know what Advent is, but if in case there's anybody watching that's like, well, what is Advent? And why is it important? So Advent is a period of 4 Sundays and weeks before Christmas. So I would say most of the time it's considered December 1st through Christmas Day. And this is considered the Advent season. And Advent means coming in Latin. And so this is the coming of Jesus into the world. And so obviously this is important. Like Catherine was saying, we need to stay focused on the birth of Christ, even even through all of our traditions and fun things that we do with family and friends. And yes, absolutely do those things. And remember that that's the love and the traditions that we have with our family and friends is glorifying God as well. And so I don't want anybody to feel guilty. I think that's the one thing that hurts my heart, is when people do feel guilty. Like Caitlin and Catherine were talking about how sometimes, people talk down on Christmas, or they say like, oh, that's a, pagan holiday, or, whatever. They think we're evil for celebrating it or whatever. But one thing I've learned is that if there is love, peace, and joy, if that's the fruit of what you're doing, then it's glorifying to God. And especially if it's involving your family and being present for your family. The fruits of the Spirit, if you have those in what you're doing, then it's good fruit, And so anyway, so I want to do an Advent study with you. I have this Ann Voskamp one. I've never read it, so it's going to be my first time reading it with y'all. But I love Ann Voskamp. She is just a beautiful writer. Her story is beautiful, everything. I love everything she writes. And so it's called The Greatest Gift. If any of y'all want to pick it up, it's unwrapping the full love story of Christmas. And so I just want to do this with you guys. And I'm going to try to hop on here as much as I can, so that way we can stay connected with this. But just in full transparency, this is kind of just a rocky season for me. And so I want to love on y'all and come on here as much as possible. But if y'all could love on me and be patient with me if some days I miss, that would be amazing as well. It takes a village, y'all. Okay, so basically, this is how Coffee with Crystal will go. We'll chit chat some, and then I will end it with a devotional. And I hope that this can be something that I do often, because it was a lot of fun. Okay, so we are going to read, I believe this is day 1. Okay, yeah. So she does have an introduction in here, but I'm not going to read that. We're just going to dive right into December 1. And so again, it's Ann Voskamp, The Greatest Gift. If any of y'all want to pick up this book and read along with me, or read by yourselves, or just listen to me, that's fine too. Okay, so December 1st, out of the stump of David's family will grow a shoot. Isaiah 11:1. December 1st, it is Advent come. Today's reading, out of the stump of David's family will grow a shoot. Yes, a new branch bearing fruit from the old root. And the Spirit of the Lord will rest on him. The Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. In that day, the heir to David's throne will be a banner of salvation to all the world. The nations will rally to him, and the land where he lives will be a glorious place. Isaiah 11:1 through 2 and Isaiah 10. That was good. The mattering part is never what isn't. The mattering part is never the chopped off stump. It isn't what dream has been cut down, what hope has been cut off, what part of the heart has been cut out. The tender mattering part is you have a tree. Out of the last and forgotten Son of Jesus comes forth one tender branch that will grow into a crown of thorns, a rugged cross, your ladder back to God. Jesus will go to impossible lengths to rescue you. Out of the stump of that fallen tree, watered with the living waters that flow from the depths of his grace, a twig sprouts. That twig will be the scepter that defeats your sin and lets you grow again. Out of that stump and the shared impossible, there springs a singular shoot, tender and vulnerable. There, here in the midst of the unconceivable, the loud claims, the hard sells, the big spectacles, Christ comes small. The micro, macro miracle who comes in the whisper and says, "Seek me." Just where you are, look for the small glimpse of God glory breaking in, breaking out, sprouting, shooting, unfurling, bearing fruit, making a kingdom, remaking the world. Slow and still, and seek the shoot that bears witness to God. The hardly noticed child, the hymn hummed over the sink, the unassuming woman bent on the register at the register, the dog-eared word of God beckoning from the shelf. Gaze on shoots of glory, we grow deep roots in God. The theology of the tree of the cross always seeks the presence of God and the belittled gifts of the world. The small babe of Bethlehem, the dismissed Son of God, the stripped and beaten Messiah hanging exposed on the tree. He begs us to spend the attention of Advent on the little, the least, the lonely, the lost. Because in the rush, in the hurry, in our addiction to speed, it might just be a bit like stepping on the shoot that sprouts from the stump. Advent, it is made of the moment, this slow unfurling of grace. I love that. Oh, it's so pretty. Wow. So I got a couple of things here. I just almost broke down. Anytime I hear anything about Christ dying on the cross or shedding blood for us, I just always want to lose it because it's like, for me, he did that for me. Sorry. I don't know. This is such a beautiful introduction of who he is, and no matter what, no matter where we are, he is going to meet us in our mess. And because of our mess is why he did this, why God gave us Christ, why he died on the cross for us. And gosh, if that doesn't humble you, I don't know what will, you know? If that doesn't bring you to a place of just humbling and realizing your worth. I mean, you are worth it. You're worth it. Everything that you go through, the traumas of this life, the sins, even the sins that we do, it's worth it. He wanted all of that washed. He wanted all of that covered by the blood, because he loves us so much. And that's a beautiful, like, Christmas gift within itself, right? Is just that knowledge of who he is in our lives and what he did. And so this small little baby came to us to save the world. And so that's what this is about. That's what Christmas is about, like Catherine was talking about earlier, to stay focused on Jesus no matter what. And that's what this is about, is just remembering that little baby in the manger who grows up to save the world, to save us from ourselves. So, here we go. More comments. I've never done anything this this long on here, so I wasn't quite sure. I did not expect to have trollers that I had to block. That's crazy. Okay, anyway, so that's great. That's great. That was a great way to start this. And I will read something in the introduction. Maybe I should have read the introduction. There was something that I highlighted because I was trying to decide what book I wanted us to read. And so I picked this one up and I read the introduction. And as soon as I read the introduction, I was like, okay, this is it. This is the Advent study I want to do. So I highlighted a part. Let's see. Actually, you know what? I think I am going to read. Oh, that's a long introduction, though. I'll just read what I highlighted. Hopefully, I don't know if I'll need any context around it, but our covenant-keeping, promise-keeping God vowed, out of the stump of David's family will grow a shoot. Yes, a new branch bearing fruit from the old root. And that day, the heir to David's throne will be a banner of salvation to all the world. The nations will rally to him, and the land where he lives will be a glorious place. Out of the stump of our hearts, in this day, this season, miracles will grow within, unfurl, bear fruit. And the heart that makes time and space for him to come will be a glorious place, a place of sheer radiant defiance in the face of a world careening, mad, and stressed. I don't know if I said that word right. Careening. I don't even know what that word is. Sorry, guys. I don't know what that word is. I need to look that up. Maybe I should read these before I do. I did read this, though. I should have underlined that word. Anyway, because each day of Advent, we will actively wait. We will wait knowing that the remaking of everything has already begun. We will linger over the lines of the Old Testament stories, tracing the branches of the family tree of Christ, the spreading pageantry of humankind, from Adam to the Messiah, each historical truth pointing to the coming, the already relief, the incarnation of God. We'll still and slow and trace each exquisite ornament pictured with these 25 Advent narratives, each ornament cut slow out of paper. And there he is, the exquisite gift, cut and given for us, broken. The gift who hung on a tree for us, cut off. The gift who was pierced for you, wounded. Your wounded, willing God who unfolds himself on the tree as your endless greatest gift, Jesus. That's so good. Okay, I'm crybaby now. So The Greatest Gift by Ann Voskamp. That's what we're going to go through this month. And you guys pick that up. It's a good book. Her stuff makes me cry all the time. Okay, let's read some comments and then we'll sign off, y'all. This was so much fun. You love our dogs' names. Yeah. Holly and Mistletoe. And then we have Ferdinand and Olive, which Olive, if y'all don't know, is also a Christmas reindeer. Not from Rudolph's pack, but there is a movie called Olive the Reindeer. It might even be Olive the Christmas Reindeer. I don't know. And then Ferdinand, we watch Babe religiously. Like, we love Babe the movie. And so it does remind us of Christmas because there's a really cute Christmas scene. But Ferdinand is the duck in Babe. But we also, his middle name is Linus from Charlie Brown's Christmas. Well, Charlie Brown, but we did it from Charlie Brown's Christmas. So his name's Ferdinand Linus. So even the two new pups have Christmas names. They're just not as obvious as holly and mistletoe, but they're still Christmassy for us. But anyway, let's see. Moved in my house. We may be okay now. We live in the boonies. Oh yeah, girl. I will block anybody who comes and tries to holler at you like that again. Okay, Caitlin says she understands. I love and appreciate it. At the same time, honor your time. Do it as you can. Oh, thank you, Catherine. Careening. Okay, there we go. I think I said that right then. Careening, right? Move swiftly and in an uncontrolled way in a specified direction. Okay, so when you put the definition out, it's like, oh, well, duh, that is careening. But as I was reading it, it just didn't calculate what that word was. But I've heard of careening before. I've heard of that word before. Thank you, Catherine. My husband laughs at me all the time because I say words wrong constantly. But in my mind, they're right. I'm just like, well, but I think I'm saying it right. And he's like, no, you're not saying it right. Okay, y'all. So I'm going to go and finish the rest of my coffee. You guys stay warm, and hopefully I will see you guys in the morning. This was fun. Thank y'all for joining me. Bye.